Hi, my name is Casey Sedlak. I am creating this video for getting typed. So I'll just jump off and hop into these questions here to answer them. Okay, so if I were an animal, what would I be and why? This is a tough question because I want to be a lot of things, but I love sandhill cranes, and here's why. They're huge birds. They're very cool. They're migratory, so they get to travel. They also have I love the idea of they have a buddy all the time. I don't know if they have lifetime mates, but I know that they always fly together. So that's very cool. And they have they fly in pairs. I also love the way they sound. I just think that they are there's something, when I hear them in the spring, there's something that's so invigorating to me about the way that they sound and uplifting. And it just makes me feel so good to know that they're out there. Also, somebody once described them as grateful and then told me that they thought I was a sandhill crane, or if I had an animal that it would be a sandhill crane, which I was like, that's so nice. I don't think of myself as graceful, but I aspire to be graceful. Okay, my best quality and my worst quality. My best quality. I would say that my best quality is probably, I consider myself very adaptable, and I can adapt to people and places pretty dang well. So sort of like a chameleon almost. I know how to fit in a lot of different spaces. And I love that about myself. I've been able to live in a lot of different places with a lot of people who aren't like me, and I really value my ability to do that. And sort of have conversations with anybody who comes down the pike, as long as they're respectful and kind. That's my ground rule. What's my worst quality? I am super scatterbrained. So, can't read a calendar. Can't remember what the calendar says if I do read it, and will often double book. And I hate that. I hate that about myself. And that's just one example of how that comes out in the real world. But it's things like, oh, I forgot to get back to this person, or I have too much going on, or I overcommit, or I undercommit. Then I have nothing going on. So yeah, I would say that. And I also, it comes from a place of wanting to be accountable to everybody. And so I think, while I can fit in so many different places, I sometimes try to fit into too many and fit too many places into me. Does that make sense? Okay. Am I an assertive person? I think it depends on who I'm being assertive with. If I'm very comfortable with you, most likely you'll see me as an assertive person. Do I consider myself assertive? Really, it truly depends on who I'm comfortable around. Because a lot of people will say she's pretty go with the flow kind of girl. But I also, if you're my husband, he'd probably describe me as somebody who's speaks exactly what's on her mind. I also do think, however, I aspire to be assertive. So I don't think I'm always hitting that mark, but I do try to say what's on my mind, especially if I think it's going to be helpful or important information to add to the conversation. Or if I think that no, we shouldn't do that, I'm going to try to say that in a way that is easier to hear. Describe a perfect day for me. Perfect day for me. Oh my goodness. I think a perfect day would probably be honestly a day on the river with people that I love, where we're doing something together. So whether it's where there's like a collective goal, right? The goal is to get to the next campsite, or the goal is to like build this fence. So it's like working with people that I love towards a common goal in a beautiful place where there's water. I think incorporating a lot of different elements into that. So there's like the time for work, there's the time for play, there's the time for like collective responsibility, whether it's like cleaning up or tending to the thing that needs tended to. And then also time for rest. So I think those are the things that would be part of the perfect day. And I have this group of women, and they're always involved in my perfect day. So they have to be there. My family can be there too, but these women it's a necessity. So yeah, I love an adventure with a purpose, whether that's for work or play, dedicated time to rest, and dedicated time for like community responsibility, and where everybody participates. I think it's like everybody pouring something into making the day awesome would be amazing. Yeah. And like good food. So there you go. Is that specific enough? What causes stress in my life and how do I manage it? I'll start with the second question. I manage stress very poorly. I am learning that about myself, that I used to think that I managed it well, and now I'm seeing that I just don't. I don't pay attention to how I could reduce it. I don't pay attention to how I'm responding in the moment. I get really reactive. I turn it inward and have a lot of like anxiety, and sort of like retreat, I would say. I either I retreat into myself, which then like when someone steps into my retreat space, then I get like really mad. So that's how I handle stress lately, I've noticed. And what causes stress in my life is everything. My schedule, my family, my mom, how much I'm working, how much I'm not working, traveling stresses me out, even though I love to like experience new places. Spending too much time with my kids, not spending enough time with my kids, not striking the happy medium. I feel social obligations sometimes stress me out. It's honestly like, this is actually really helpful. I haven't thought about this, but it's kind of everything. Everything feels stressful to me in one way or another. And I have to like go through this process of anxiety before I can get to the other side. But the things that really cause me like the extreme amount of stress are the like tense moments or relationships I have with my family, my performance in my work, and like I would say like the triggers that I have with my kids, and like how I'm not managing those well. What do I do for fun? Okay, I love to sing. So that's sort of like the low bar. It's always fun to sing, especially with other people. I love to ski. I love to be outside. I love to cook. I love to bake too. I also, this is like my big fun thing. Like I love water. This is new for me. I love water sports. I love going like on river trips. I've recently discovered that I am a river rat. So I've been trying to get my family to take river trips with me, which is really, really fun. I love camping. I love being outdoors with my family and my friends. And I love live music, like going to see live music. Oh man, there's nothing better. What do I find interesting? I find, I love like, I don't know, I kind of find everything interesting. I love trying to understand how things work, like processes and systems. So like human systems, ecological systems, like how our actions impact the lives of others and like how we can make those better. So that might fall in the category of like organizational psychology, like super interested in that. I am also really interested in, what else am I interested in? Yeah, being a better parent. But I think it's like mostly like, hey, how do we learn how we can all work better together for the common good? That's what I'm really interested in. Like fundamentally, I want to know how that happens for everybody. Okay. Describe myself with 3 adjectives and do not repeat the words that I've already used thus far. Okay. I am energetic and self-aware and curious. Maybe passionate. Can I do 4? Okay. Would I rather be admired or adored? I think. Oh, that's tricky. Off the cuff, I think I'd rather be admired. Nope. I would rather be adored. I want to be loved. I want people. I feel like sometimes when people admire you, there's like a pedestal that gets built and that you have to sit on, or that it feels like you're sitting on, and I think it can be a little bit like isolating. And so I think adored is more like bring you into the fold kind of. That's how I think about it. So I'd rather be adored. Do I trust myself? I mean, when I read that question out loud, I felt like my stomach sank. So no, but also yes, but also no. Do I deprive myself of anything? If so, why? No, not really. I did deprive myself of social connections for a long time because I thought it was more novel to be self-sufficient. And so I moved to a place that I now love very, very much. But that took away from like a social part of my life in a pretty dramatic way. But at this point, I'm pretty adamant about doing what I want. So whether that's eating what I want or going where I want or spending what I want or talking to who I want or learning what I want. Yeah, I think if there were to be something that you could be like, oh, she's depriving herself of this, or that I'm depriving myself of this, it would probably be access to education, because I get so wishy-washy about whether I should spend money on that, whether it will be beneficial to me, and how it will impact my trajectory. Okay, so what do I find most offensive or bothersome? Hands down, when people speak poorly of other regular people, and when people have preconceived ideas of what kind of person somebody's beliefs make them to be, without getting curious about who the person is. And so I think maybe that's like a closed-minded approach to community. And I guess like Parker Palmer said it pretty well, like in every community, at every community engagement, the one person you don't want to be there is going to show up. And when they leave, the next closest person to that is going to show up in your mind. And if you don't have that person, then you have a club. So I guess like I don't like clubs. I don't like it when people are mean. I don't like it when people try to enforce their vision about the world onto you without getting curious about your vision of the world. And I really find the patriarchy offensive, whether it's like, particularly when it comes to women's health. And I really hate the divide that's happening in our country about like good and bad based on political views. I really, really, really hate that. It divides communities and it is gutting. So yeah, also don't be a dick. Excuse my language. Don't be rude to other people. Be curious about them. And also stand up for your values. If like somebody crosses your line, just say, hey, we don't say those things in our house. Or tell me more about why you use that word. Or why do you think that? Or just love people for who they are and say like, hey, you know, we've all got a dark side. Can I get on board with this person's dark side? If not, why not? And if so, like, what would be like the worst thing that could happen? Okay. What's a common misconception that people have about me, or common misperception that people have about me? I would say that people, like, I have a lot of energy. However, I need to be alone also. Like, I need it. It recharges me. And so people often say like, oh, I really don't see you as like somebody who's not confident. Like, people have even told me that I'm intimidating, which is weird to me. So that I'm just like this confident, like super, like I know exactly what I'm doing all the time kind of person. And I never, ever feel that way, ever. I also really, like, despite all that, like, I really love to perform, I guess. And so that's where that like comes in. Like, I love to sing. I love to lead workshops. I love to facilitate discussions. I love to be engaged at retreats, but I also desperately need to like shut the door and like have silence and time for reflection or just like quiet time. So I think there are two things that I hit on there. One is like this like unyielding self-confidence that I think I present, but I don't actually have. And two, that I am like always extroverted. But I actually like have times where I can like turn it on, but then there are times when I need to turn it off. And I really appreciate those times. Okay. And bonus questions, because I love the bonus questions. Are you the hunter or the hunted? Depends on the scenario. I think generally in my life, I would say I'm the hunter. I like seek things out. So, yeah. Am I a flirtatious person? I would say yes. If I had a moment of my life to put in a snow globe, what would it be and why? Oh man, there are a lot, but I think, honestly, my wedding day, it was the best day. There are a few times in a person's life where they're surrounded by so many people who love them and who they love equally. And that was one of those days. And there's a moment where I'm like, woo! And I would put that in a snow globe with like all of the people that were at my wedding in the background. So that picture in my mind. Am I good at being self-expressive? Yes. What was I like in high school? Gregarious, self-reflective, hardworking, but also like to like knew when I needed to like F off. And also kind of behind the eight ball. Like, I did everything last minute, but well liked also. So people thought I was a little weird, but I don't think anybody like really disliked me. How often do I cry? A lot. I cry a lot. And if I was to exist in a different time period, when would it be? What social or practical role would I fill? Okay. That's a toughie, but I would say probably like pioneer days or like a nurse in World War II. And I would have been like a homesteader pioneer lady, holding down the farm or the ranch. What are my life goals? To set my kids up well, to feel happy, to have enough money to like live in great retirement, and to like be an awesome facilitator in the state. I really, really want to like up my career and professional game. So there it is, in under 20 minutes.